dudes on a map with a sci-fi Nordic mythology theme. What's not to love? So let's start off by taking a look at the neoprene mat here. This is a very beautiful map. Just the board is just as beautiful, I believe, but just great color schemes, and looks really cool. Here, all like the the settlements and the places temples can go. This is population strength. Every location has a number for placing out things. This is where you're going to be putting the three monuments, and then your realms are going to kind of go into like these areas here. So what's really nice about this side of the map, then this is the standard 3 to 4 player side, is that up here at the top they give you a place for all your cards, and it's like nicely done. It's not just like a print. It shows you like the backs of the cards, and then a spot for discard piles. And I really like that they went ahead and did that. Now what's interesting is that the other side here, which is the 2 to 5 player side, so you'll notice there's this big dividing line here in the middle, but the 2 to 5 player side is pretty much the same map, but it feels a little bit more like stretched, and it is bigger. It takes up the whole portion of what is on the other side, like 2/3 of it. But yeah, so you can see here that here is the 2 player marker and the 5 player marker, with this going up the middle. So in the board that's going to be in the actual box, this is going to be, it's going to be more going horizontal. You'll flip it over, and then the extra extendable board will be in the stretch goals box, because that's where the 5th player expansion is. So anyways, it's a really nice looking mat. Again, I prefer the other side mostly because everything just seems crisper. Like this stuff here is still crisp, but the details of the art just seems to be like it got blown up a little too much on this side. Anyways, still a very beautiful looking playmat. All right, now on to the core box. Before we get to that, we got a little letter here. It says open up. I'm pretty sure I know what's in here, but I think this is always just a nice touch by Awaken Realms, so we're going to highlight it anyways. This is some important notes about broken miniatures, damaged boxes, missing elements. But then on the main side, it is just simply a Dear Backer letter. It just, I'm not going to read it all to you, but it's just a thank you letter. It's just them, kind of telling you that they've poured their heart and soul into this game. And at this point, I do believe Awaken Realms. So I always appreciate that. It's such a simple, easy touch, something super cheap for them to add, but it goes a long way. So, all right, we have Lords of Ragnarok here. This is the spiritual successor to Lords of Hellas, but is meant to be its own game. This is not an expansion. This is not a sequel. This is its own thing. So right off the bat, we have some realm tiles. These are going to be placed around the board in various spots to you can control them. It's going to tell you what runes go in there, and expansion content can add more. So that's why these are simply cardboard tokens, and not, I mean, that's a cool shot there. I'm afraid we're going to ruin it when we pop it open, but yeah, that's why these are mobile, or whatever you want to call it. To assemble your armies, follow the instructions below for each army miniature. So they do have this dial system, which helps you count what their strength level is. I have heard some people that it's a little tricky to get them apart, so we may or may not try that on camera, but there you go. Then we have the rule book, traditional Awaken Realms style. They like the big square rule books that are the size of their boards, but this one isn't too bad. This one's only 12 pages. Here we go. Yeah, lots of nice, colorful pictures. There's also a lot of text in these. The game really is not that complicated, and again, this rule book is only 12 pages long. So take it for what you will. There you go. Pretty thin rule book considering. Then we have the solo rule book. So the solo mode was developed by David Turksey. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he, for example, did Anachrony and has done a lot of other solo modes. So really looking forward to diving into that. I've heard good things about it. Now we have a whole bunch more cardboard here. So we have your action wheel. This is where you're going to be placing your control marker on. And you cannot take the same action within the same round. Rounds are broken up by building monuments. Here we have some more realm tiles. Here's some rune tokens. These are going to be replaced by my nice 3D printed runes. And here we have some dials for the soldiers. Just out of curiosity, yeah, they kind of threw in the same artwork on the back of those there. Ooh, and man, they popped right out of there. They are just coming right up. Anyways, we have some desolation tokens. These are for the solo mode. And then these are going to be markers for your player boards, which are going to be dual layered. Really excited about that. These are rune forges. So you place these on the board. It's going to tell you which rune goes where. And then you're going to put the little smaller runes onto them, and they can be refilled and taken throughout the game. I'm not sure if these are for the solo mode as well, I believe. Here are the temples, which you can build. Again, we have these in some 3D terrain, another realm, and here we have our dual-sided character tiles. So one side here is going to have the solo mode. You can see one player, and this is like how the AI, their priority and everything like that, gives you all their statistics. So nice that you can just kind of pick which one you want to play against, and the style will change. All right. This is a large board version, double-sided, of what we have already seen with the playmat. So I'm not going to worry too much about this. Looks like a pretty big trifold 6-part board, but we don't need that one. Here we have the Valkyrie tile. So this was one of the Kickstarter bonuses. If you I believe followed the campaign ahead of time, maybe backed on day one, something like that. Now we have a pretty hefty insert here. This is nice. I like this. This all comes off in one piece, and we see a bunch of sun-dropped miniatures below. So we have some control tokens. Should be 4 colors worth. The colors are a little muted in my opinion. But that's all right. Probably just goes with the theme. These, I've heard other people say it. Now I can't get it out of my mind. Remind me of Sprees, the candy. These are plastic, hard little shell things. We have a whole bunch of these larger rubber rings. These are going to go on to monsters. If you control monsters, you'll put your color ring on it. And then we have the color bases for the heroes. So no matter what hero you choose, you are going to pick your color. And then we have some of the monster trays and Loki's boss tray there. We'll look at those here in a little bit. Ooh, and here are we have some baggies. We'll see whether or not we need those or not. We have our, just 2. So where are the other ones? Well, let's take a look at these real quick because these look really nice. Or maybe these are it. Maybe I'm just looking at them differently. I think this may be all of them. Yeah, they're just stacked up, alternating. So the really only difference between these is the player color here. So let's just set these off to the side. These are dual layered, so your priests can fit into here. Your player tile is going to fit into here. There's a little spot, you know, to get your finger underneath. This is going to track your various strengths in these particular areas. And then here's your runes, which will jump up with your wisdom. So it's nice that it's like, all right, wherever this is, that's where your runes can be. Super cool. Just a really nice touch. A little textured on the back, so they're not going to slide as much, especially on the neoprene mat. That's nice. All right, let's now, yeah, that's pretty much everything in this layer. So this is a nice thick plastic here. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to just hold up some of these miniatures here, and then we'll take a closer look at the heroes. So each individual army, their soldiers are unique. So this is what the blue soldier looks like, and then the blue boat. Let's see how tricky. Oh, that wasn't hard at all. I don't know why people are complaining about that. That was super easy. Here we have the red players. These are very Norse feeling. These guys here, whereas these guys were very sci-fi feeling. These guys are also Norse looking with a backpack and like a wolf head. And oh yeah, then these dark ones here. This is very much Troy-esque hoplites. Okay, what is supposed to go right here? I wonder. All right, let's take a look at these guys now, up nice and close. All right, coming back to the core box, we have this tray here, and okay, that does come off nice. It always bothers me when lids like this don't come off easily, and you have to like lift up half the box anyways to get them off. So we've got a few things going on here. One is the epic models for the statues, the monuments. We have a bunch of cards here. Looks like plenty of room for sleeved cards and maybe expansion cards. Your priests, which again are unique to your faction. They're colored. I really like the wash on the priests, even so more than like the blue kind of gets lost, and that's okay. But still, I don't feel like I need to paint these. I'm perfectly happy with how those are. We've got some monster miniatures, and Loki's in here. So he's the only boss in the game. Just 2 dice, and mainly those are to manage the monsters or to roll a random. Or no, what's this one? 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. Oh, this is for solo, and this is for managing monsters that nobody controls. Now, I'm gonna do a close-up shot of all of these miniatures here, and then we'll move on to the cards. But I just wanted to show you guys how amazing these things work. So here is this guy's base, and I don't know how you're supposed to tell the difference between the bases, but so his bottom just fits in there like that, and then you would give him his legs. I'm a little concerned. Look at this, like runes all over his back. Well, maybe. All right, his head comes off pretty easily, but his torso is in there. All right, well, I don't want to break them. So yeah, let's see if maybe one of these other guys comes apart a little better here. This head works nicely. I like that they're not just going to fall apart on you. Let's look at Thor here, see if Thor comes apart. So he's got his feet here, and then where does he break apart? Must be his torso here. Oh man. Ooh, the lolly. I don't want to break these at all. In his head. Man. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let me. We're gonna come back to this, and so see if there's any advice online on how to break these guys apart. Okay, before we look at all the cards to finish off the core box here, I did want to come back to the monster trays as they stated. So these are essentially going to be represented by miniatures on the board. We just looked at a lot of them, and to defeat them, you're going to have to cover up all of these spots along the bottom by playing a combat card, which we'll see in just a second, with a matching symbol. Now, more than likely, you're not going to take out a monster in just a single hunt. So as long as you put at least 4 tokens of your color on the monster, if someone else comes in and takes it down, you both will get credit in a way for taking down that monster. The person who takes it down, though, or actually the first person to cover up all of these non-reward spaces, will get a artifact from the beast. And if you cover up these spaces, they give you individual bonuses instantly. So here you would gain a priest, here you would gain a rune, here you get to increase an army, and increase an army. So each of these have a area attack or region attack that you can do, a special attack that will come on their cards. A region attack is when you roll that red die and just move them around, and then a reward tells you what artifact they should have. So we have Fafnir, we have Grendel. Remember, this is all Nordic mythology, but these characters have just been kind of punk sci-fi'd up. Hades and Skull, a troll, probably one of my favorite of the miniatures. That was the one with the trees. Huldra, not really sure who she is. Draugr, and Loki then is the boss. So the biggest thing about Loki is that you have to take down 2 monsters before he even becomes available. He's got some passive skills and stuff. And then he takes 2 cards just to cover up 1 spot. No rewards, no bonuses, nothing like that. So, okay, so we've got a fair amount of cards here. Let's kind of go over them all pretty quickly as possible. So these are you're going to put down depending on player count here, and they're going to tell you when you pick up a temple when you draft blessings, which are right here. So blessings are just kind of bonus cards after you hunt, heal 1 injury, rune of cunning, and these are all kind of be mixed up, and they have to do with the 3 attributes. So when there's a blessings draft, you'll have shuffle these up, draw 1 more than the player count, and whoever started the blessings draft gets to take their pick, and then they go around the board, so on and so forth. Here you have the Ragnorak requisite cards. So these you're gonna, I believe, have like 6 randomly assigned. There appears to be more than 6 here, or maybe you put them all out, but these are kind of end game conditions that once 3 of them are met, Ragnarok begins. So 1 fully built monument. Okay, so there's various player counts here. That makes sense. So for 2 player and then 3+. All right. So yeah, so monument builder, 1 fully built monument, 2 entire lands controlled by 1 player. If at any point during the build monument step, 1 of these is met, you're going to flip it over, and then once 3 are flipped over, Ragnarok, which is one of the end game conditions, fires off. You've got your combat cards. These are what you're going to use to battle your armies and hunt monsters. So here's the symbol that you need to match up against the monster, and then you can use this ability when you play this card. Then everything here on the bottom is for battling. So you would get this money, or not this money, this number added to your army value, and you get to do this at the bottom, but then this is wounds your armies are going to take. So there's various amounts of these. There's axes and
shields and swords. There's the shields. Shields will block the monster attacks, spears. So kind of combat cards that serve two purposes in the game, I guess. These are event cards. Event cards are going to be flipped over during build monument step. They're going to have you placing out additional monsters and activating additional monsters. That's basically it. The number up here at the top just tells you which region to place said monster in. Then we have the monster attack cards. So when you're taking on a monster, you're going to be, if you're playing multiplayer, someone to your right or left is going to be controlling that monster. They would draw, start with 2, look at them, play 1, and then these things are going to give them, so on their next draw they would draw 3. This tells you their attack that the player has to block, or else they take this special attack damage. And this is a weak point here. We'll cover all that in our how to play. Once this deck runs out, then the hunt is over. The monster kind of escapes. We have these smaller cards here. So a lot of these are the artifacts that are going to come with either defeating a monster or, for example, a god artifact, Mjolnir. If you control Thor's region, then you will get this artifact. So these are like the really super powerful ones that you kind of use, and then when you build a monument, you get to refresh them. You also have these kind of, I forget what, origin cards. These are just kind of bonuses you get at the beginning of the game. So become first player, draw 1 combat card, form an alliance with 1 chosen realm, choose 2. So you'll randomly get one of these, and that will give you a little bit of a bonus, asymmetrical bonus at the beginning of the game. Before we get to that, we've got a whole bunch of reference cards, which is fine. Hunt, special actions, build monuments, special action. Now this is, I believe, for the solo mode here. Maybe not win conditions, player turn. And then you have these. This tells you what you get when you send a priest to that monument, and depending on what level it is. So if it's just the base, you get +1 wisdom for going to Freya. Odin is authority, Thor is might. But as Thor gets taller, when you send a priest there, he will get +1 might and 3 combat cards. So these will just sit out as reference on the board. Last but not least, we have the solo mode. So the solo mode here gets its own Blessings draft card. They also have reference cards for the follower. That's the AI you're going up against. And then a whole bunch of Automa cards here, which basically there's a whole series of colors here. You're going to be starting with some and then drafting other ones. Some here will you'll cull at the beginning of the, once they are played once. Other ones you'll shuffle back into your deck. It's a whole system. It's a David Turczi system. It seems to work pretty well. I've yet to play it, but I've heard people rave about it. And then you have these some challenge cards here that you can add in to make the solo mode more difficult. That is it, ladies and gentlemen, for the core box. Let's move on to some stretch goals. So here is the stretch goals box. I do like the artwork on the stretch goals box, though I find it a little odd that the monument that they're depicting on the stretch goal box is in the core box. So this, you know, is Freya, who we just looked at. Anyways, this basically is the 5th player expansion, along with some additional heroes, monsters, another boss to fight against. Basically just a whole lot more of everything, as well as the extension for the board mat, so you can play 5th player, so you can turn that 2-player board into a 5th player board. So we saw that on the mat already, but it should be in here. So let's see what we got here. So here's the Children of Loki. I don't know if that's a specific module, but anyways, we have Heimdall, Hell's Monument. Looks like some additional solo cards in here. Yeah, fifth faction, all unique, yellow color, 5th player board, forge tokens, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, Children of Loki expansion. You can add Hel to the game by switching her with Odin or Thor from the base game. During setup, apply changes in the following steps. That's Guardians of Bifrost. You can add Heimdall to the game, switching with Freya or Thor. Nidavellir mini expansion. You can add Nidavellir to the game by switching it with the I'm not even gonna Svartalfheim realm in step 2. Okay, so basically just swapping out stuff. So we have Eagle the Archer. He might be the coolest miniature in the game, in my opinion. We'll take a look at him here in a second. And Skuld the Sorceress, a few more temple. Basically, like we said, a little bit more of everything in Asgard. I don't know where that fits, but that's fine. Alright. Here is the board extension, like we mentioned. 5th player symbol down here. And it's basically a trifold kind of single stretch board. So, there we go. It's a little interesting to me that the 5-player mat, because I'm sitting here looking at the playmat, which is laying down underneath the box. The 5-player map seems smaller than the 3 and 4-player map. Anyways, I digress. Alright, so we have another tray here. We have all the components for the 5th player here. So nice bright yellow. Yeah. I see that. Here is the soldier miniatures. Almost looks like a skull face. I don't know if you guys can see that real well, but very intense face. I do like the nice bright color, and this pops out. Okay, so let's just separate that out. So let's see here. This must pop off here at some point or another. Okay, so we're taking the whole thing with us. So we have a new boss card. This might be 2 bosses. Yeah, I think there's. Yeah, it looks like there's probably a card for the 2 bosses and a monster in here. So there's one of them. We've already seen the boss cards. Here is a 5th player board in yellow. Okay, there's a decent amount of space to fit stuff in here, so interesting. There's actually a lot of space in here. I'm wondering what all I'm going to be able to fit in here. So we expected some more cards, some additional combat action cards, more Automa cards. I'm not really going to take a look at these because we just looked at most of what I think is in here, but you would expect that everything's going to fit here. So what can I fit in all these places? I wonder if there's enough room to fit some of these other add-ons that we're going to be taking a look at into the stretch goal box. That would be amazing if they just went ahead and took care of that. So basically we have some more miniatures here, all looking great. This is the archer. I just really like how he is pulling back 3 arrows at a time. He's got some kind of like special grip thing that he can pull back 2 arrows, and then there's like a 3rd one tucked in there somehow. I just think that's a really cool way, because if you think about it, miniatures, you know, have to have some amount of thickness to them or else they're just going to snap off. So it's very hard to do like a single arrow. Like you never see bows with the string, because the string would be nearly impossible to create in you know, like a mold. So what they've done here is, you know, we're going to give you thin arrows. We're just going to group them up 3 at a time, and it's going to be amazing. So really like him, but let's take a look at these. And yeah, eventually my reboxing video is going to cover what all can I fit into this space here, because I see a lot of potential here. So yeah, let's take a closer look at these though. Alright, up next we have our first gameplay expansion. So this is going to add significant stuff to the game. It's not just cosmetic add-ons, which we'll see later on in the video here. So this is the Seas of Aegir. Anyways, this is going to add, let's take a look at the back side of the box here. This is going to add these Sneckers. Anyways, additional boats. So everybody's going to get 4 additional boats. So previously your boat was really just a way to move around the outside of the board, and it became like a jump point, a portal per se, that you could move from where your position was to wherever your boat was, or the land adjacent to your boat. This, I believe, you're actually going to be able to start like taking control of areas using the boat. And then we have I don't know if this is a boss or a monster, but then a whole new monument that's very cool looking. What I'm not super excited about is the quality of this box. This is not a box that is going to hold up over the years. You know, this is basically just a shipping box, a retail box. This is one that will eventually throw away, but what am I going to do with all this content? There's no way that this model, we just looked at the stretch goals box, which had some extra room, but these 2 suckers are not going to fit in there. So what am I going to do with them? I need to come up with a solution for them. Simon recently did this with their Massive Darkness 2, whereas a lot of the add-on content was in these smaller, cheaper boxes. So there's that. We have the boss. So this is a boss. It looks like the Davy Jones's locker ship from Black Pearl, Pirates of the Caribbean Disney movie. That's really cool. I want to definitely take a closer look at that. And then we have a tiny little rule book here. So Sneckar rules. Sneckars are additional miniatures that occupy the seas. They can be gained from the Aegir god power or his artifact card. Players also gain 1 Sneckar at the start of the game. When a player gains a Sneckar, they place it on the sea with their Drakkar. During a battle in a region adjacent to the sea with a Sneckar, a player may discard their Sneckar from that sea, place it on the board back to their pool instead of playing a combat card. And playing the combat card steps to gain +2 battle value. Okay, so that's basically their function. Alright, so let's take a look at these. These are like they must have been jumbled around here. Very interestingly put in here. Okay. So they're supposed to fit like this. Alright, and this guy's supposed to go right here, I'm assuming. Okay. That looks a little cleaner. Maybe you go there, and you go there. So, yeah. Okay. So each Sneckar is basically the same design, but they're just different colors, which I'm okay with. So there's a Sneckar example. Actually, I wonder if these are, yeah, I think these are all supposed to be like this. Okay. And then we have the Kraken ship here, which is really cool. I actually really like this model. I mean, this thing looks like it just dives beneath the sea and then comes up and just harpoons people with this thing. And it's got some skulls on here. This might be my favorite model of the game so far. So that's a boss that you would fight against. Oh, there we go. That fits a little better. And then here's another monument. Look at this bad boy. He is cool. So I did end up being able to get all of the other monuments separated. They just took a little twisting. But there you go. Here's the 3 pieces of this one. So I think the more and more you take them apart and put them together. As long as you're careful, you should be fine. So there you go. There's the backside of them, very intricately done. Yeah, he's a cool one. So yeah, I don't want to just throw this guy or this guy in a box somewhere and have him get banged up. But I just don't feel like this is a valid solution here. So yeah, Aegir here and sea power when you recruit exactly one army. So I wonder if this is a blessing. Let me just take a look at it real quick. Yes, it's a blessing. So they've added some blessings to the game, which can help you with your sea powers. Okay, so I would be perfectly fine with this if this was higher quality, the actual box. All right, let's tuck that off to the side, and let's take a look at the other gameplay expansion, which I just have right here. So this is the Realms of Giants. I keep wanting to call them the Frost Giants, but I don't know if that's necessarily factual. I'm just going off of what I've seen in Marvel. So these guys, this expansion introduces Frost Giants that can be used in two ways: as a supportive power players can use in battles, or as a monster harassing the player's armies. So this is another one where the box does not feel like it's going to hold up over the years. So we've got another small little rule book. I'm okay with that. At some point or another, I would have appreciated, I realized that this was a paid add-on. Oh, there's some stuff underneath. But it would have been nice if the stretch goals box, the rule book for the stretch goals, would have included this other stuff. Still include this. So if you end up buying the game retail version and then all you pick up is this, you still have the rule book. But for those of us that did do the stretch goals box, we don't have to keep up with all of these smaller rule books. Just a suggestion. So let's look at this stuff real quick. We have a realm. Oh, it does say Frost Giant. Okay. And another realm. See, I think the only difference between these two is the size of them. So I think this is the same thing. This is just going to go on the 2-player mat, which is like blown up more. And this is the 3 and 4-player mat. We have what appears to be, yeah, a single card for a giant as a monster. Yeah. But there's 4 of them in this box. So I'm not sure how that works, but there we go. And we've got some cards here. We've got some artifact cards, and then here are the giants. So, these guys are okay. These guys probably would have been pretty fun to paint, but I love the fact that I feel like these are, board game quality finish. I love the fact that when I get something that's sun-dropped, I don't feel like I have to paint it. I could maybe come back down the road someday and repaint this. Sure, why not? But I've got enough plastic in my life to paint. I don't need to add to that list. So here's a little card on the realm bonus. Okay. Or giants as monsters. So I guess this is just 5 reference cards for the 5 individual players. That's what that appears to be. And we're going to try and get these back in there, even though we've already spoken, nothing's going to stay in here. So let's move this off to the side. And now we have, the only stuff left is cosmetic add-ons. So, alright, up next we have the terrain expansion, and we have the runes expansion. So I feel like ending on this smaller box would be slightly anticlimactic. So let's take a look at the runes. Now this is again a cosmetic upgrade. So everything that's in this box is already in the core box and it's just in cardboard form. hopefully these will be able to fit in at least the stretch goal box, if not the core box. So this is interesting. So here's the rune forges. This is what goes onto the board, and it's going to hold these smaller ones. These stay on the board and don't move, but you refill them. They are washed, which makes the symbol pop really nicely. Now we have these guys that are the actual runes of the various types. I think these are for the C's here, the lesser ones. But these are not washed. Interesting. I wonder if that's a mistake. But let's check it out here. So I want to do two things. Two things real quick. Let's see if it all works. One is I'm hopeful. I don't know why they would have created these, that the little runes don't fit in here, but I want to see how good they fit. So let's move this off to the side. Let's zoom in here. And okay, so they very easily fit in there. They just kind of dance around. It's not a super snug fit, but I guess it's easy to pull out. Okay, so I'm fine with that. The real question is, and I'm going to dive back into my... where did I have one? This one had one that's easy. No. Here's one. My core box was more already opened off to the side. So this is a player board. Do they fit into here? That is the question. And they do. So, yep. Bravo, Awaken Realms. Bravo. And the way that they have this, these aren't going to slide around once they're in there, but they're not so tight that you can't get them out. I would have preferred this to be a little snugger, to fit a little bit better, but this is super nitpicky at this point. I just am wondering whether or not it was a mistake that these aren't washed. Did I get like a bum batch? I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that. But there you go. That's the Rune upgrade. And yeah, I don't see any reason why. Certainly if I bagged up the cardboard, I couldn't fit those into the core box. And last but not least, we have... Hold on. I gotta clean up my mess a little bit here. The terrain pack. So the terrain pack is just like the rune pack. This is just cosmetic upgrades, 3D versions of some of the stuff that was just cardboard that we've been looking at. So the realms, the temples, and settlements, which settlements up until now have purely just been printed on the board. Like this right here is a settlement. So if your army is in this region, you can bump it up during a maneuvers action instead of just moving your army. Now, this is again another box that is just not going to hold up over the years. Here we go. So, I was hoping that maybe these might fit. Maybe I can get these, but I don't see how I'm going to fit these. So, what we have here are the temples. We saw these in cardboard form, but this is a lot nicer. These right here may be the sole reason for me getting this terrain pack. If I could pick one thing from this terrain pack, it would be these. Because these are meant to stick up anyway, so you can easily see them while you're playing. Because this is a win condition. And they just give you a little standy, but this is much better. And then we have the settlements. So these are, I believe, just going to be placed out at the beginning of the game, and they're not going to move or anything like that. Looks like you should be able to stick something there, but I don't see why you would put a priest there. And this certainly, yeah, that doesn't fit. So yeah, that's a settlement. That's fine. And then we have the realms. So you're probably going to want to keep the cardboard out there anyways, because I believe the cardboard tells you what each of these does, but this is pretty cool immersion factor going on here. So again, each of these just represents something that's already in cardboard on the board, or placed onto the board. But this is a lot cooler. Ooh, that's creepy. The grasping hands. How about this one? This one's like a cannon. This one reminds me of the orbital defense gun from Empire Strikes Back, the one that they shoot as the rebel transport is trying to escape. That's what that reminds me of, with a fish, a Jesus symbol on the side. So yeah, I mean, these are fine. I think this is going to be fun to add. Just going to add to the immersion factor. Are they necessary? No. They're pretty lightweight though, which is fine. They're not going to be picked up and moved around a lot. Oh, this one's cool. It's like the globe. So yeah, all right. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is all she wrote. The only thing that is not included in my pledge that would have been in the all-in pledge was the art book, which would have been nice, but let's be honest, I don't have time to play all of my games, let alone be just flipping through art books. So left that one off, but that is it. Everything else is here. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Keep an eye out. Up next will be a reboxing video. I'm going to show you what the just core box looks like put away, and then I'm going to see what all I can fit into the stretch goals box. Hopefully some of this at least, and then at some point we will have to come up with, I believe, a storage solution for the rest of the terrain, the Frost Giants, and the Seas of Aegir expansion. So yeah, lots of Lords of Ragnarok content coming onto the channel. So if you want to be notified when this content hits YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Other than that, once again, thank you for watching. Have a great day.